Welcome to a new episode of Yahoo Finance's opening bid vodcast slash podcast. I'm your trail guide, Yahoo Finance's executive editor, Brian Sazi. Now let's make some money and get a lot smarter. Here with me now is the founder and CEO of Affirm, Max Levchin. Max, always nice to get some time with you and get a little bit of a longer period of time with you. I know your time is very precious, so thanks for hopping on. I mean, really, the big news for Affirm. Take us through what did you exactly announce with Apple?
I think Apple announced that sometime in the future, this is a WWDC announcement, which means that they are speaking to the developer community, describing what will happen. Affirm will be available directly through Apple Pay, which means that you'll be able to get the transparency and sense of control that Affirm payments offer directly in your Apple Pay wallet, which is obviously super easy and convenient to use. And so it's very exciting. It speaks directly to the core value of what we're trying to build here, which is a network, bringing as many new shoppers with credit that we responsibly grant them to as many merchants as possible through as many channels as possible. And this is probably one of the most beautifully designed channel of them all. That's just announced today, super early. Lots and lots of wood to chop before this is a reality.
I was thinking back. Didn't Apple try to get into buy now, pay later? And I remember asking you about it. And you're like, don't worry about it. What happened to their efforts?
I really don't think it's my place to comment, and I certainly don't know what other strategies they're pursuing. I think their announcement spoke to the idea that there are other providers out there that have their own consumers that are using those products, and they have created a platform with a wallet, and they're just pursuing that strategy. But I think you'll have to ask the right person from Apple to comment on their own products for sure.
How big could this be for Affirm financially? Now, I know you mentioned weren't sharing any impact to financials, but I mean, there's a little bit of common sense here. 1.4 billion iPhones worldwide. I know this is US focused. I mean, the user base, huge. How could this change your company?
Again, it's too early. I think the thing that I've always said, and I'll say it again, things that are worth doing take a long time. And if you look at another really amazing partnership of ours is Shopify. So it's in its third year and it's accelerating. And that just shows that when you build something really well, it takes time. But if you put the right foundation in and continue iterating, you really get some extraordinary results. And I think what this announcement speaks to, probably certainly a lot more than just Affirm, the idea of unbundling the credit card is here to stay. Apple, as you said, they're enormous. They have enormous, exceptional coverage of merchants. They're online, they're offline, they're directly embedded in your iPhone. So it's a great product. And for them to say, hey, installment pay, the idea that you want each transaction where you're going to pay over time treated separately, where you know exactly what your interest payments are going to be, if any. In our case, there'll be no late fees, no gimmicks, all the things that makes Affirm so great and unique. They're real. This is a first-class citizen inside of the wallet. And so I think that's what's important. And the opportunity, obviously, you said it yourself, but it's the sort of thing where there's a lot of work to be done before anyone, myself included, knows what will happen and how big it will be.
And of course, Affirm's been in business for a good number of years now. You're pulling in a large amount of revenue each year. But is this somewhat of a validating moment for a company like yours? Maybe something comparable to, I don't know, Warren Buffett coming in and loaning a company money?
I think every single time we sign with a great platform, this is not the first major announcement we've announced. We're privileged, frankly, to work with Shopify, I just mentioned, with Amazon, with Walmart, with Target, great American brands where we are trusted to take care of consumers that choose to shop or to pay with their payment products. And the validation is real. You're totally right. But I think what it speaks to is just the wave of, and by the way, I really hate the term buy now, pay later. I think it's an awful term. It really should only mean the pay in four. And as you know, we do pay in two. We just announced literally last week, and pay in 30 days and pay in 6 months and 12 months and 18 months, all sorts of things. But the idea of unbundling the credit card transaction, I think is a really powerful idea, and it is here to stay. And that is the validation. Every time a major wallet says, all right, this is a thing that we need to support, it's here to stay, it's getting larger. And, for the record, Warren Buffett hasn't lost any money, but I would welcome such validations too.
Does it's so creepy. You can't probably see, but just as we're having this conversation, Max, my Visa debit card popped up. I have it saved in my Apple Wallet. I don't know how that happened, but it's really strange. But it just got me thinking, like, in real time. I mean, is this a moment where the credit card companies think, like, holy crap, I really need to be worried about my business model looking out over the next 10, 20 years?
I think that's probably 10, 20 years, perhaps. Just to be, to know where my place is, as my mother used to say. Buy now, pay later, or Affirm-like transactions, paying over time, whatever you want to call it, it's still about 5% of US e-commerce. It's less than 1% of the overall spending. And so it's slightly larger than a gnat, but maybe smaller than a fly. So we got a long way to go before we are threatening the vaunted halls of card issuing banks. But I do think they're taking notice. I think the favorite stat that I'm sure I probably quoted on your shows over the years, when we started, everyone laughed at us, like properly laughed, that we wouldn't charge late fees. Like, how dumb are you? Like, can't realize that that's where the profit is. And we said, look, whenever you charge late fees, you're fundamentally misaligning yourself with your end customer. And consumer is stumbling financially, either because they're a sloppy payer or because something happened or they just can't make a payment, telling them, aha, that's my profit opportunity. I'm going to take your money, and take your money with an extra fee on top of it just seems so profoundly wrong for a customer obsessed company like we are. And fast forward, you're right. I've been at it for north of 12 years and going, and I have no intention of doing anything else. But today, more than half of all paying over time products like Affirm, like Apple Pay Later, like PayPal, do not charge late fees. Like, we've actually caused a real shift in the industry. I think that's what credit card issuing companies need to be thinking about. How am I going to live in the world where consumers expect for me to be on their side when I can't make a payment, not to rejoice and make a little extra money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a competitor. I mean, you cycle, Max. You've founded companies. You've been at this a while. Maybe you could weigh on this. What does this announcement with Apple mean for Klarna? And I don't mean to giggle, but like you're going to battle with Klarna. I mean, look, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, this is a big win for your company. It's unclear to me what Klarna's doing over there.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the name.
I mean, you don't have to say it. I mean, you compete with them. I mean, this has to they're probably not having a good day at Klarna's headquarters. Come on.
I think one lesson I learned over the years is you gotta focus on yourself. You can't, on the day when you're having a good day and you're thinking, oh, those guys over there, wherever they are, they're really hurting now. I got them where it hurts. It's just about to flip, and you're going to be the one going, oh my God, they did what? And like, how did I miss this one? So it's just good karma behavior to not too many, spend any cycles thinking. I mean, ultimately, I'm a huge fan of competition. You're totally right. Like I turn myself inside out on the bike as often as I possibly can. But you're ultimately competing with yourself. You're never really trying to show up someone else. You're just trying to go faster.
Why? Well, before I get to something else, what would you rename BNPL since you don't like it?
Pay over time. I think that's just a better name. It's more all-encompassing. BNPL is a snappy acronym, but it's really come to mean paying for. And BNPL, or paying for, is a product within the broader ecosystem of these pay later, pay over time products. And the reason they're so important is because they're non-revolving. Like the thing that makes this industry, the industry that we started here, unique is we are not bucketing all of your payment obligations into a single thing that just sits there and spins faster and faster and gathering incremental interest. That is the cause for so many lives damaged. Like you can watch a documentary or two or five about people who just got a credit card, got themselves a 0% asterisk, don't read the fine print, wake up 5 years later at 10 grand in debt and have no idea how to get out of it. That is what BNPL, as much as I hate using the term, and pay over time products, they're all about the antidote to that, to not knowing when you're going to be done paying for something.
Why are you still so passionate about this? You said you've said this repeatedly. You've not sold a share of Affirm, and I'm getting the sense that you may just retire at Affirm. Aren't you known as a serial entrepreneur?
Well, I'm always going to do whatever gives me the most product development satisfaction, if you will. I think what I really am is somebody who loves building products. I wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh my God, we should have built that feature already, and start texting people. And when we were a 3-person company, I just text my co-founders, and we were, 2,000-person company, I text randomly or not so randomly selected heads of product, who you are. And that's what drives me. That's what I love. And I have a lot of fun. And the conviction that I have is real. I'll keep doing it until the conviction goes, but we're less than 1% of overall spending. There's 99 to go.
Fair enough. Hang with us, Max. We're going to go off for a very, very quick break. For those watching Opening Bid, hang with us. We still have our 24-minute conversation coming right up. All right, I'm still here with Affirm founder and CEO Max Levchin, talking about his latest tie-up with Apple, which really could be a game changer for the company. Max, there's no really right way to ask this one. I mean, you've worked with Elon in the past, of course, with PayPal. He came out and voiced some concerns about Apple's tie-up with OpenAI. I mean, do you share those privacy concerns as someone now working even deeper in that Apple ecosystem?
To be completely honest, I don't know how to make heads or tails of that. And Elon is a smart dude, so whenever he says something, he undoubtedly has his reasons. I can't pretend to always know exactly what he means. I do think that Apple is genuine when they speak to consumer privacy, how much they care about, what they're willing to do to protect it. And I think that's real. And so I don't think I'm overly worried. I think, if anything, just getting the first glimpses of the work there, I think they hold themselves to a very high standard. I think we hold ourselves to an extremely high standard. Obviously, when you're dealing with money, that's just a whole different layer of how upset people might be if something goes wrong, if their information isn't so much as perceived as available to others. So I think the incentives are all fully aligned on as far as consumer privacy and security is concerned.
Is the AI community moving too fast for your liking? I know this is wrong, but I always view you as one of the founding members of the internet. I know that seems maybe a little ridiculous and not necessarily true. You've been around, you've been doing this for a while.
True story. Today, this is completely unrelated, but since you mentioned this, so I was in a Yale CEO summit, which happens every few months. Mm-hmm. And in the same Zoom room was Bob Kahn, who designed IP at Bolt, Beranek, and Newman. And I was like, I am living the dream. Like, I mean, he's in his 80s, but he's still here and commenting on the design of the internet. Like, I'm not really in the same room, but virtually in the same room as one of my greatest heroes. And so anyway, I thought, but no, I'm not one of the creators of the internet by any stretch of imagination. I was in the same campus as Mark Andreessen in 1993 when he built Mosaic, and I was a freshman.
Okay. All right. So do you see, those early days of building the internet and what's happening with AI? Are there some parallels you can call out? And, is Silicon Valley putting in the right, safeguards to protect us all?
I think so. I think so. I'm privileged to consider, folks like Sam Altman and many others who are working in the space very deliberately as friends, and I've had plenty of very honest conversations with them, and I think everyone, and I really do mean this, like I've never run into anyone in AI, like, and by that I mean foundational model developers, designers. No one is thinking of this as, oh, what's the big deal? Everyone is deeply thoughtful. Everyone is concerned with safety. Everyone really wants to make sure that it's obviously an extraordinary collection of breakthroughs and more are on the way. No one wants to be the person who unleashed the Skynet or whatever most terrified fears you might have. So I think Silicon Valley is taking this very seriously. I do think that we are not alone. I think the AI space race equivalent is just starting up. We're hearing announcement after announcement from China. I think those companies are urged on by their government, and it's an international competition. And so sort of this, well, let's everybody just hang back a little and do nothing for a little while and see how we think about it. I don't think it's an option. I think you have to go forward. Big fan of only forward as one of the guiding mottos of how I work. But you have to be smart. You can't just be like, you know what, we'll fix the seams and the seals later. You have to do the right thing as you build the systems. But I do think that lots and lots of exceedingly smart people are very concerned with getting it right.
What do you think the next breakthrough in AI is?
Um, a couple of things I think may happen. I'm not sure they qualify for breakthrough, but I think the chat interface is actually a slight detour. I think for a lot of, so it's a great demo. When you don't know exactly what you want, it's fun and productive to talk to a bot and say, so I'm trying to read, so I use ChatGPT all the time to read papers. So I love reading science papers, but a lot of times they're dense. So I can say, hey, read this paper for me and help me understand this paragraph because I don't quite get it. So that's a wonderful use case for a chatbot. A lot of times I know exactly what I want, and discussing it with an AI is demeaning. Like, I don't really want a conversation partner. I want you to do this for me right now. And so a whole collection of new approaches to user interface, I think, will start occurring in AI very, very quickly. Incidentally, some of the demos in WWDC, I think, nod towards this notion of you really shouldn't be spending lots of time talking to a robot. You should just tell the robot, hey, go do this, and they'll know what to do. So I think that's a collection of maybe incremental, not necessarily true breakthroughs that are coming. The other one that I think will happen, and I don't know exactly where or when or how, but I think the exponential cost of compute required to train and to a lesser extent infer is going to get solved. And I don't know exactly what that means just yet, but we've never built a massive computing paradigm without someone going, wait a second, there's a cheaper way to do this. Like if you sort of cast your mind back to MapReduce at Google and sort of mathematical breakthrough like that. So I expect one any minute now. And so that will create an interesting earthquake in the sort of, do you have to have the most capital and the most compute and the most power, which I think you still will, but I suspect the cost of this entire thing is just going to go down an order of 5 magnitudes.
Are you out investing in some of these companies? And I think I saw a podcast from you like 6 years ago, and at the time you said you may have invested in 140 companies. How does your investing life outside of Affirm look like at this point?
With every passing year, the full-timeness of my job became fuller and fuller and fuller at Affirm. And I think at this point, I officially take up 180% of my copious spare time here. My wife happens to run a venture fund. I'll give her a plug since she's both brilliant and thoughtful.
Hey, Yahoo team, next guest. Next guest. Go ahead, Max.
So Nellie Lefshin is my wonderful wife. She runs Sci-Fi VC, which invests quite a lot. And so on occasion, I am able to get a glimpse of what she's working on with both her portfolio and people that she's listening to. And quite a lot of her work these days is in AI, although I think we agree on the idea that investing in AI, qua AI, is probably a very short-lived affair for people who just can't figure out what's going to happen next. The best ideas in AI that we're seeing right now are companies that are solving a real problem and are doing great things on their own. And AI is an accelerant, is a rocket booster, as opposed to the reason for the company to exist.
Lastly, Max, before I let you go, I mean, we are in election season. Neither one of us are political commentators. I get it. But someone that is familiar with, the vibes in Silicon Valley, I mean, are you surprised how divided things have gotten in Silicon Valley, as we near November? Things, I would say, over the past month and a half have taken a turn that not many folks would have expected. I mean, President Trump doing various dinners in Silicon Valley, getting that support. Just curious on your take.
I pride myself in staying out of politics for pretty good reason, I think. One of the things that I learned pretty early on at Affirm is what we are, what we have appeals to both sides of the aisle.
Sure.
And it's dangerous in a sense that in Silicon Valley, no secret, it leans largely left. We're based in San Francisco. San Francisco leans left of center. And yet you're building products that are going to get used by someone in a MAGA hat. And you have to pretty early on decide, hey, that person has a tremendous amount of value they're expecting from us, and we better deliver it. Doesn't matter what their political leanings are, doesn't matter who they vote for. And I may or may not agree with any one of the left or MAGA hat wearers or both, depending on the issue. But it is critical, in my opinion, to not allow yourself to become too dependent on an image of right and wrong in the customer. Obviously, modulo legality, modulo decency, morality, those really, really matter. But the second you start sort of getting too caught up in, oh my God, but the people over there, you don't care about your consumer, your end customer as much as you should, and that's dangerous. And so for that reason, I stay very far away from opining on politics. That's why you never see me hosting fundraisers, being at fundraisers. I just far away. That said, the world is polarized. Silicon Valley is not immune. We have dinners for both sides being hosted probably at the same time. Not at my house, however.
Wise man, sir. I made a quick note before I let you go that as a former Yahoo board member, we just came out with a great Yahoo Mail update. You can go on my LinkedIn page, Max, check it out. It's very AI friendly. It's awesome. Just wanted to give a plug to the Yahoo Mail team, and I figured you appreciate that. And that's it.
I do actually. In my very last act in the board office, what seems like 5,000 years ago, I was pounding the table for the greatest asset that Yahoo has is mail. Like my wife and my
finance.
mom.
And finance.
Oh, finance. Oh, well, obviously, present company. Come on.
Yeah,
It goes without any kind of saying. But for the majority of the masses, Yahoo Mail is still a fantastic product. So, and I mean that, neither Brian nor anyone at Yahoo paid me to say this. I'm a big fan. I have an account.
We appreciate that love. Max Levchin, founder and CEO of Affirm. Always nice to get some time with you. Keep doing what you're doing at Affirm. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid.